It's me, Mario and the gang, you probably know my name, and so we start.
To whom it may concern, I have a pretty unbelievable story to tell you about my ThinkPad. I work in marketing for a large corporation on Florida's Gulf Coast. In the summer, the weather here can change pretty quickly, and tropical storms are always a threat. Fortunately for me, I work from home, so I don't have to worry about driving into the office in bad weather. It was September 16th, 2004. I was working on a huge report that my team and I had been putting together for 6 months.
Heavy flooding is expected, especially in the bayou.
The news on the radio wasn't good.
This is a dangerous storm. Officials warn that Hurricane Ivan is now a Category 3.
Hurricane Ivan was churning up the Gulf of Mexico and heading this way. My husband was boarding and taping up our windows. But when the hurricane finally made landfall, it wouldn't be enough to stop the storm surge. We lost power at 10 p.m., and soon after, we could see water coming in under the door. The storm raged for hours, and eventually my home office was flooded with nearly 4 feet of water. At some point, my desk tipped over, and my ThinkPad sunk to the floor. The next day, the water had gone down enough to assess the damage. I went into my office and found my ThinkPad sitting upright on the soggy carpet. It was wet and dirty from the muddy salt water. And when I pressed down on the keyboard, it had a crunchy feel. My heart sank. All my work down the drain. I figured my computer had drowned, but I shipped the ThinkPad to my company's help desk anyway. A few days later, I was working out of our regional office when I got an email from our help desk with my report attached. You can't imagine how shocked and excited I was. Not only had I been saved 6 months' work, but all of my other data was recovered too. Thank you, ThinkPad. Sincerely, Allison Gilmore, Marketing Operations, Pensacola, Florida.
To whom it may concern, here's an unbelievably true story about your ThinkPad that I thought you'd like to hear. I'm a computer technician for a major newspaper. And we depend on our computers to get the newspaper out. It's my job to keep the computers up and running. At work, I have a desktop, but I use my ThinkPad at home to check email and to monitor the workflow. It was September 21st, 2002. I remember the date because it was the day my daughter got married. I was at the church, saying goodbye to some of our guests, when my neighbor ran in to tell me that my house was on fire.
Immediately, your house is on fire!
By the time I got there, everything was pretty far gone. And what wasn't gone was wet. I remember standing by, just watching helplessly, when a fireman throws my ThinkPad out the second floor window. It landed below in a pile of wet debris. I was too dazed to think about it then. But a couple days later, I went out to retrieve it. It was dirty, it was wet, and the outside of it had actually melted shut. I took it inside the house, but I figured it was a lost cause. About 3 weeks later, I finally decided it was time to return my ThinkPad to the office. As I relayed the story of what had happened to one of my fellow computer techs, we decided to see if the ThinkPad still worked.
God, it's melted.
We had to use a screwdriver to get the melted case open. Then we plugged in the power supply and I hit the power button. I couldn't believe it. The screen fired right up. It was a bit warped, but it worked. My ThinkPad had survived a fire, water from a fire hose, a drop out a second-story window, and days and nights under wet, soggy debris. Not only did it start right up, all the data was intact. If I hadn't been there to see it, I never would have believed it. Thank you, ThinkPad. Sincerely, Keith Jones, computer technician.
To whom it may concern, I just wanted you to know what I think about your ThinkPad.
What you want to remember about CPR is
I'm a trainer of EMS personnel, and wherever I go, my ThinkPad always goes with me.
Can anyone tell me the indications and
I always knew your product was good, but I didn't realize how good until the other day when I was running late for a presentation. When I got to my truck, I had a little rearranging to do, so I set my laptop down and began moving things around. Needless to say, I was in a hurry and anxious to get going. I was in the truck and pulling out of the parking space when you can't imagine the sick feeling I had. I didn't want to look. My ThinkPad had a corner missing, and it appeared to be warped. I almost didn't have the courage to turn it on. But it powered right up. Thank you, ThinkPad. Sincerely, Corporal Bill Wagner, Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services Division.